You've definitely picked up your phone, unlocked it, stared at the screen for a few seconds, and closed it without even opening anything. No reason, no notification, nothing. You just grabbed it. And maybe you've done that 3 times in the last 10 minutes without even noticing. That's not distraction. And it's not a lack of willpower. It's something much deeper happening inside you, and most people will never stop to understand what it actually is. Because we live in a time where spending 2 minutes in silence, without stimulation, without noise, without anything to consume, feels unbearable. And you don't even realize when that started. At this point, it almost feels automatic. This video isn't about phone addiction. It's not about productivity. It's about something most people still haven't understood. We forgot how to simply exist. Think about a normal situation. You're waiting for the elevator. 30 seconds, maybe 40. And before the button even lights up, your phone is already in your hand. You didn't consciously decide to grab it. Your hand just moved on its own. You open Instagram, scroll for 15 seconds, close it. Open WhatsApp, nothing new, close it. Stare at the screen for a moment. Then open Instagram again, and again. The elevator arrives. You step inside, and you didn't even notice you did all of that. Or the bathroom, which somehow turned into a session of reading, short videos, and endless scrolling. What was supposed to take 2 minutes became 15, sometimes 20. It's kind of embarrassing, honestly, but everyone does it. Or when you're watching a show you personally chose, one you actually wanted to watch, and at some point, without realizing it, your phone appears in your hand. You're looking at both things at the same time without truly focusing on either one, even during movies. Think about the last time you stood in line. At the bank, at the grocery store, anywhere. How many seconds did you last before grabbing your phone? 5, 10. Especially when nobody's talking, boredom feels way too heavy, uncomfortable, like it needs to be filled with something, anything, or that moment before sleep. You're lying in bed, exhausted, wanting to rest, but the phone comes to bed with one more video. One more, just one more. And after a while, you don't even remember what it felt like to fall asleep without it. You know what's strange? We complain that we don't have time, that the day is too short, that we never truly rest. But every empty second that appears, we fill it, constantly, literally all the time. As if the moment we finally experience silence in our minds, it becomes a problem to solve instead of a moment to live through. And if you recognized yourself in any of these scenes, I need you to understand something. You're not weird. And you're not the only one. I started noticing this in myself recently, and it was uncomfortable to realize how automatic it had become. How little I was actually choosing to do it, I was simply doing it. And the scary part is, everyone does this now. It's not an exaggeration. Research shows that the average person picks up their phone more than 100 times a day. 100. And a huge portion of those times happen for no real reason. No notification, no urgency. It's just a reflex. A reflex we developed without noticing in a world designed exactly for that. Because it's not your weakness. It's that the entire environment around you was built to make boredom feel unbearable, to make every empty second feel like an opportunity to consume something else. And after a while, the brain learns. It starts associating every moment of pause with the need for stimulation, and then it becomes automatic. Now that I really stopped to think about it, we never even had the chance to notice when we crossed that line, because it didn't happen suddenly. It happened slowly, so slowly that it started to feel normal. And that's exactly what makes all of this so hard to see. Now pay close attention to this with me. The problem is not the phone. It sounds contradictory, but take the phone out of the equation and the behavior still exists. It always has. There was always something, always noise, always distraction. Before, it was the TV turned on with nobody really watching, the radio constantly playing in the background, flipping through magazines in a doctor's waiting room, scribbling on paper during a meeting. The need to fill silence wasn't created by smartphones. Smartphones just made it easier, faster, and more invisible than ever before. So the real question isn't, why can't you put your phone down? The real question is, what do you feel when there's nothing to do? Because maybe it's not really about the phone. Maybe it's about what shows up when the phone isn't there. The thought that appears, the feeling that remains, the discomfort you can't fully name but recognize immediately. It's almost like the brain simply doesn't know what to do with silence anymore. So what's actually happening? The human brain has a very ancient characteristic. It hates uncertainty. It hates emptiness. When there's nothing to process, the mind starts to wander. And when it wanders, the thoughts that appear aren't always comfortable. Worries, doubts, that vague feeling that something is wrong even when you can't explain exactly what it is. And the brain learned very quickly that there's an easy escape from that, an escape that fits in your pocket and is available anytime. Every time you grab your phone during a moment of discomfort, the brain records it. That worked. The discomfort disappeared, so it asks for it again, and again, every single time. It's the same mechanism behind any habit. It's not addiction in the dramatic sense of it's just the brain doing what it has always done, searching for the shortest path to relieve discomfort. The problem is that this path never actually solves anything. It only postpones it. The thought you escaped from at 3 in the afternoon is still there at 11 at night. The feeling you drowned out with endless scrolling comes back when the screen turns off and the room goes dark. And then the cycle starts again, because the brain learned that it doesn't need to face anything. It just needs to wait for the next distraction. The strangest part is that it doesn't feel like a problem while it's happening. It feels normal. It feels like rest. It feels like you're just relaxing. But there's a huge difference between resting and escaping. And maybe that's why even after hours on your phone, you still feel empty, still feel tired. Like you never actually rested at all. Because you didn't rest. You just stayed busy enough to avoid feeling anything. But let's go a little deeper into this. Because there's something most people never say out loud. Something that's honestly difficult to admit. Being alone with your own thoughts is scary. Not the kind of fear you can easily name. It's not fear of something specific. It's more like a sensation, a dull discomfort that appears when the silence lasts too long, when there's nothing left to consume, nothing left to watch, nothing left to read. And in that silence, the thoughts begin to surface. Am I actually on the right path? Why do I feel so empty when my life isn't even bad? Am I wasting time? Am I wasting my life? Why can't I just stop? Those thoughts aren't pleasant, and the brain knows that. So it does what it always does. It finds an escape before you even realize you needed one. And you pick up the phone. Again. I didn't realize this until recently. How every moment of pause had turned into an automatic escape. How I had stopped simply being. You know that feeling of finishing an entire day and barely remembering what you actually did? Not because it was a bad day, but because you spent the whole day on autopilot, consuming, reacting, scrolling. And in the end, the feeling isn't rest, it's emptiness, as if the day passed through you instead of with you. And there's an even deeper layer to all of this. We live in a time where productivity became identity. You always need to be doing something, learning something, growing, improving. And when you're doing nothing, this strange guilt starts to appear. So the phone solves two problems at once. It fills the silence while also giving you the feeling that you're doing something. You're consuming content. You're staying informed, you're connected, but deep down, you know that's not really it. You know the difference between opening a video because you genuinely want to watch it and opening one because you couldn't handle 30 seconds of silence. You know when you're escaping. And maybe the most painful part is this. We lost contact with our own minds, not dramatically, not all at once. It happened slowly, one scroll at a time, one notification at a time, one short video at a time. And after a while, being alone with yourself starts to feel strange, uncomfortable, almost threatening, as if you became a stranger to yourself, because deep down, maybe that's exactly what happened. We distracted ourselves for so long, so constantly, that we forgot what it feels like to simply exist without needing something in return. No entertainment, no stimulation, no noise, just you, your thoughts, and silence. And for a lot of people today, that's one of the hardest things in the world. So what can you actually do about it? You don't need to quit your phone. You don't need some dramatic detox. You don't need to punish yourself every time you pick up your phone for no reason. This isn't about guilt, it's about awareness. Because there's a huge difference between using your phone and being used by it. Between choosing distraction and needing distraction. Between truly resting and simply replacing one discomfort with another. And the shift begins in a very simple moment, almost invisible. It's when you pick up your phone and stop. Just stop for a second and ask yourself, do I actually want this right now? Or could I just not handle the boredom? You don't need the perfect answer. You don't even need to do anything differently in that moment. Just noticing it already changes something, because awareness is the beginning of anything real. And maybe reconnecting with yourself doesn't start with some huge transformation. Maybe it starts with 30 seconds of silence you decided not to fill. Now that I really think about it, maybe that's exactly what we need to start practicing. We spend our lives running from boredom without even realizing it, filling every gap, every pause, every empty second with something, anything, just to avoid sitting with our own minds for too long. And maybe the most honest question you can ask yourself today isn't, do I use my phone too much? But instead, what am I avoiding feeling or thinking about? Because deep down, that's the real discomfort. Not the phone, but everything that appears when it's gone. Tell me in the comments, during which moments of your day do you catch yourself reaching for your phone without even noticing? Be honest. A lot of people are going to relate to it. And if this video touched something you recognize inside yourself, then this channel was made for exactly that. To talk about the behaviors we repeat every day without understanding why. The things we feel but rarely put into words. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you'll always be the first to receive the next videos. See you in the next one.